A very good evening and welcome to Weekend Primetime News. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Malaysians have gone to the polls in a decisive election for the Southeast Asian state. The News First International Desk has more on this story, but first a look at the stories making headlines tonight. Azad Saleh to remain in custody under detention orders. Justice Minister criticizes Saleh's arrest.
ආසත් සාලි මහතා අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීම පිළිබඳව මම මගේ කනගාටු විතරක් නෙවෙයි මේ පිළිබඳව මගේ දැඩි විවේචනයක් කළ යුතු බව මම ඉතාම පැහැදිලිව කිව යුතුයි.
Azad Saleh's daughter addresses a letter to the president saying he has been unjustly arrested. The former president says she is ready to support anyone with proper policies. DIG Vasco Nuwardana says spineless police officers should resign from areas under his purview. And now for the stories in detail. The police say that detention orders have been obtained for 3 months for the former Deputy Mayor of Colombo, Azad Saleh. Police media spokesperson SP Buddhika Siriwardana said Saleh would remain in custody under detention orders and would be interrogated further. Meanwhile, addressing a letter to the President, Azad Saleh's daughter Amina Azad Saleh has made a special request from the President.
Amina Azad Saleh states in the letter to the President that her father Azad Saleh has been unjustly arrested. She also notes that as her father has commenced a hunger strike from the time of his arrest and has refused food and water, his health is deteriorating. She also says that although she and her mother had visited him and asked him to take food and water, he had refused their request. She says in her letter to the President, and I quote, "Since I was a small child, it has been a well-known fact to me that you are a close friend of our family, and I am sure that if you were to offer a glass of water to him by your hand, he would return to normal," unquote. Amina Saleh also says that the people and the President are all aware of the dedication on the part of her father towards returning the President to the presidency. She says that she believed that a glass of water offered by the hand of the President will surely save the life of a person dedicated to peace in his country and who is also a friend of the President.
Meanwhile, speaking at an event in Vavuniya today, Minister of Justice Rauf Hakim expressed the following views on the arrest of former Deputy Mayor of Colombo, Azad Saleh.
With regard to the arrest of Azad Saleh, I must express not only my disappointment but my strong criticism. There may be charges against him that he spoke with the intent of inciting ethnic disharmony, but there are several others who spoke in similar fashion in the recent past. I must clearly state that in the case of these persons as well, the law must be enforced regardless of their status. I can see that the police have made no clear statement as yet as to why he has been detained for several days. I must point out that there is no room in the law to arrest a person and detain them without filing charges. If a statement must be recorded or if there are charges, then a clear statement must be made regarding this. But the way I see it, as a Minister of Justice in this country, I cannot agree to this. I must clearly state this. Minister Hakim made this statement at a meeting of local politicians from the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress in Vavuniya.
Meanwhile, religious observances were held today to invoke blessings on Azad Saleh.
Religious observances were held at the Dawatagaha Mosque today, with prayers being held for Azad Saleh's speedy release. Religious observances were also held at the Ganga Rama Vihara today to secure the release of Azad Saleh.
ප්‍රෙසිඩන්ට් ලියුමක් කියලා තියෙනවා මම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා මේ ලියුමෙන් මගේ තාත්තට සාධාරණයක් ඉෂ්ට වෙයි කියලා.
A government councillor of the Valigapula Pradesh Sabha arrested on suspicion of involvement in a murder released on bail. Azad Saleh is under arrest. A Pradeshiya Sabha councillor who was arrested on charges of assaulting the manager of the Karawala gas power Pradeshiya Sabha is released on bail. Azad Sali is under arrest. A government councillor of the Western Provincial Council arrested by the CID on suspicion of involvement in the murder of a businessman released on bail. Azad Sali is under arrest. For yours and our attention.
In other local stories, the wife of Kugan Muruganathan says that she no longer believes that her husband, who has been missing for some time, is still alive. Muruganathan disappeared several months ago in Jaffna. Now, speaking on a BBC documentary telecast yesterday titled Our World, Sri Lanka's Open Wounds, Muruganathan's wife expressed these views.
4 பேர் வந்தாங்க 2 பேர் உள்ளுக்கு வந்து இரவு 7 மணி இருக்கு இனிமேல் கோர்ட்டுக்கு போகக்கூடாது போனால் அந்த அப்பா இல்லாத இருக்கிற மாதிரி பிள்ளை அம்மா இல்லாத இருக்க முடியாது சொல்லிட்டு போனேன் அதுக்கு நான் கோர்ட்டுக்கு போகிறேன் இல்லை யாருக்கும் பயம் இங்கே இப்போ யாருக்கு அடுத்து கண்டா கூட சொல்ல மாட்டாங்களே ஏன்னா தங்களுக்கு மீது எல்லாமே ஏற்பட்டுடும் பயம்.
He's been missing more than a year now. How are you coping?
இவ்வளவு காலம் அவர் வருவாருன்னு எனக்கு ஆனால் இப்போ வழக்கு போய் கொண்டிருக்குத்தானே எனக்கு அந்த நம்பிக்கை இல்லை அவருக்கு இருக்கிறாருன்ற நம்பிக்கை எனக்கு இல்லை.
Views were also sought from parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa on this documentary, which inquired into the current situation of post-war Sri Lanka.
I've also been meeting the wife of a man who disappeared. How can that kind of thing be happening in Sri Lanka today?
Well, I mean, see, if there's a complaint in the police, I'm sure the police will do the investigation.
Do you want to preside over a country where people are disappeared in peacetime?
But
personally, do you really want that?
No, not only me, no one wants that. No one wants to see people disappearing.
Former President Chandrika Bandaranayake Kumarthunga says that she is prepared to support any person with proper policies. The former president made this statement in an exclusive interview with News First Susil Kindalpitiya.
For decades we have been discussing about a suitable form of government for Sri Lanka. It has been nearly 7.5 years since you left office. With the developments that have taken place after your departure, what are your views on the suitable form of government for the country?
We were against the executive presidency and we held protests against it on the streets. We said that we would abolish it when we came into power. 7 months after coming into power, we introduced our proposed constitutional reforms to the country. They were first introduced in August 1995 and then again in August 2000. There were 2 main points in it. One is the devolution of power and the other was abolishing the executive presidency. Many people mock me asking why I didn't do it. They say I made a promise to the JVP and I broke it. The people who make these claims are not children. They know fully well that I had a majority of only 1 vote in parliament. For 11 years I asked the opposition leader to join hands with me and abolish the executive presidency. However, he refused. On the 29th of July, he agreed to cast their votes for the abolishment and even shook hands. However, everyone remembers what we did on the 3rd of August. We set fire to the constitution. By then, I had spoken for about 1.5 hours, but I couldn't even cast my vote. That is why Chandrika's government could not abolish the executive presidency.
Do you believe that the country needs to change through a social, economic and political revolution?
I don't believe a revolution is necessary to change the current economic policies. What we need is an ideological revolution. This needs to take place in the leaders of the country first and then spread to the rest of the government. This needs to begin with the leader.
Are you ready to help anyone at any time?
If they bring forward a proper policy framework, then I am ready to do so. This is my responsibility.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa visited RIT Alas, a veteran educator and founding principal of DS Senanayake College today to inquire into his well-being. President Rajapaksa had wished Alas, who is being treated at a private hospital in Colombo, a speedy recovery. A prominent figure in the education field, RIT Alas also served as State Secretary to the Ministry of Education for a while. Alas, who was the founding principal of D. Senanayake College, rendered a yeoman service in that position for 25 years. Explosions shook the Syrian capital Damascus this morning. Syrian state TV reported the explosions were caused by an Israeli rocket attack. Details coming up on the Around the World in 99 seconds. Also in local news, the Ceylon Electricity Board says that the second electricity tariff revision proposal, including the changes announced by the President, has been submitted to the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka. Deputy Finance Manager at the CEB, P.A. Kulathunga, says the PUCSL is yet to grant approval for the new proposal. Deputy Finance Manager of the CEB, P.A. Kulathunga, said that once the PUCSL grants approval, the amended electricity bills will be sent to the consumers by the 20th of May. Meanwhile, the National Trade Union Centre warns that if the revised electricity tariffs are not completely reversed by the 20th of May, a one-day strike action will be initiated on the 21st. A letter addressed to the President bearing the signature of the Chairman of the NTUC, K.D. Lalkantha, says that they do not accept the amendments announced by the President to the revised electricity tariffs. In the letter, the NTUC calls for the complete reversal of the new electricity tariffs and the preparation of a national policy on electricity tariffs. Minister of Economic Development Basil Rajapaksa, addressing a function in Yakala, expressed views on the electricity sector.
During the UNP regime, attempts were made to systematically hand over the distribution process to the private sector. The generation was handed over to the private sector. However, when the current president was appointed to power, the government took steps to produce and generate electricity for a low cost. We built the Keravalapitia power plant expeditiously. When international lenders refused to provide money to Sri Lanka, the president obtained a loan from the Employees Trust Fund and utilized the money at the National Savings Bank and built the Keravalapitia power plant. It is because of this the Sri Lankan government now owns a large-scale power plant. The event was held to commence the third phase of the housing scheme in the Yakala area. If we looked at this country in the traditional way during the last 5 years, we won't be able to surpass our challengers. When the president took over office in 2005, he looked at the war in a traditional manner. However, he was not a prisoner of it. Hence, we were able to eradicate terrorism. Today, development is also viewed as a similar challenge.
A group including Minister Vimal Veeravansa's Kandy district coordinator made a request from the chief prelates at the Mallathu and Askiri chapters to put a stop to night motor races that are scheduled to be held in Kandy. The group, which represented the Foundation to Protect the Heritage of Kandy, met with the chief prelates today.
We informed the Mahasangha about this. We are taking all steps to put a full stop to such efforts. There are ample locations to hold such motor races in Sri Lanka. The streets that parade the sacred tooth relics are considered to be sacred by the Buddhists of this country. We see a plan to destroy a world Buddhist heritage by holding such improper acts on the streets that are used for sacred purposes.